is the Ridiculously Amazing Insurance Agent Podcast, hosted by me, Kelly Donahue-Piro. This show is for growing insurance agencies looking to maximize their biggest investment, their people. Listen to the top agency performance partners clients share their story on how they boosted their performance by executing a plan. Let's head to the show. Hey everyone, it's Kelly Donahue-Piro here again with a Ridiculously Amazing Insurance Agent Podcast. And I have to say, these people are ridiculously amazing. We're talking today to Linda and Brian Bernth from the Laven Agency, and they're in Indiana, and they bought our online school and just ran with it. So if you think you can't get renewal calls done on your own, they're here to prove it differently. You have to listen to as Heath, Sharon, and I go over the details of how they rolled it out, their success and their results. So if you've been on the fence, this might be the motivation that you need. Also, remember, we don't have any sponsors on our podcast, and we do that purposely. We just want to deliver you guys good content motivation to hear from other agencies, not necessarily people who are buying and selling ad space. So if you like this, make sure you like it, share, or reach out if you have any questions on how we can help you. But I'm not the star of this podcast. Linda and Brian are. So without further ado, let's get them going. Well, hello, everybody. We are gathered here today for a ridiculously amazing insurance agent podcast where I'm super, super excited. We have our first co-hosted podcast with Heath, Sharon, and I. So we got the mayor. We have Linda and Brian Bernth in Indiana, and kind of stumbled upon this podcast randomly yesterday. So we have had limited preparations, which is always a good podcast. So why don't we just take a moment and just kind of do our hellos. So Linda and Brian, do you want to just take a moment, introduce yourself? Everyone knows Heath and I, so we don't need to do that anymore.
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Brian Bernth. I'm married to Linda. We've been married, 23 years now, something like that. And worked together for the last 9. So, still married after all that, that's a good thing. Linda brought me into the agency 9 years ago after I was in the HVAC business for 19 years. She brought me in to kind of help out with their sales here at the office, and things just took off. I enjoy insurance a lot more than I thought I would. So it's good to be here.
I have so many questions just on that, like the whole podcast.
Yes.
Levenger's on here. We'll do the Married People podcast.
Yes, the Married People podcast.
That's right.
Yeah. You guys, my wife and I definitely could not work together, especially 9 years. So that's incredible. That's incredible.
Well, we do pretty much everything together, and we share a brain, so it works.
My husband and I have tried. He has a contractor's license, and he's done like contracting. And he's like, I'm so type A. I'm like, where's this? Where's this? Where's your certificates for your subs? Why don't you have this? Have you collected payment? And so I'm like, we just need to not. So I am always like has this enamoration for married couples that can work together.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I wish I could share my wife's brain. I'd be a lot smarter. So.
See, that was
sometimes that's all I have going for me.
Yeah, there you go.
Heath, remember, happy wife, happy life, right, Linda?
Yes.
Exactly. I would love to hear Linda's story as well.
My story is pretty boring. I'm third generation owner. My grandfather established this agency in 1927.
Oh, that's awesome.
I came back in 92-ish, I'm going to say. I'm really aware of that. Bought it from my dad in early 2000s. And he finally retired. He was how old when he retired? Over
72, I think.
Something like that. I eventually bought the agency, and, again, kind of grew up in the business, but not really. It was always here, but it was never really a thing to do. But really kind of enjoy it. Never really thought I'd come back and live back in my hometown and all that fun stuff. But hey, it's worked out well. Met Brian, and hey, it's all good.
So were you one of those kids that grew up like, I don't want to work in insurance?
Exactly. Did not want to work for my father. It wasn't even necessarily insurance. It was more for, I don't want to work for my dad.
That was the same thing for me. I'm a second generation as well. And my whole family's in the business. Was that a tough transition for you going from dad's agency? Did he allow you to take the reins right away, or was it a slow transition?
He stayed it was probably 3 or 4 years. It was gradual, but sudden. Once he kind of decided he was going to do it, because we set up a little office for him, then he didn't really need it. I really didn't change too much right away, probably as much as I should have when he left, because it's kind of one of those things, well-established agency. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And we also was still at that time a little more male-oriented, very still male, stale, and pale, as Brian likes to say. So we had an older gentleman that was kind of taking my dad's role with the company people and that kind of stuff. So I was still doing more of the service type things and all that kind of stuff. So there was still kind of that person. And then he eventually retired. And then now it's just Brian and I. Not That's just awesome. Brian and I, but we do have people. We do have staff.
It's you guys and the humans. And so Brian, I just want to ask, so like you're doing your HVAC thing. Obviously had a great career in that. And then you're like, I'm going to go into insurance.
No, actually, when the economy was so bad, so I got out of that, and I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just knew I wasn't getting up every morning and going there and dealing with the lack of everything. So I took about 3 months off, and Linda and I were on vacation up north in Michigan, and we were just sitting there one afternoon, and she says, we need some help with some sales. Would you be willing to do that, like as a consulting type thing to begin with? And I said, yeah, sure. It does something to do for a while and maybe help her a little bit. But, eventually got licensed and just kept taking on more things and getting more involved. So, I didn't expect it to go where it's gone either, but I'm glad it did. It's fun.
What was the first thing that jumped out of you from that kind of sales and HVAC to the retail insurance sales?
Well, there's a lot of similarities, actually. I sold a lot of different products representing a lot of different companies. So I would have to figure out from all the stuff I have access to what was best for my client as far as their equipment went. And I had appetites with companies. I had to meet certain goals with certain companies. So it was kind of a juggling act with that as well. When it came to picking out insurance, what kind of policy do I write? What carrier do I use? I was kind of used to the juggling act. Right. So just a different product, obviously, but there were a lot of parallels.
So you weren't just a crane or a carrier or train person. You were an independent.
No, I had probably 40 companies I represented.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Okay. So that is very similar. That's
the middleman guy.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the agency, like number of employees, personal, commercial, locations, like just give everybody a little bit of a rundown about what you guys have over there. Other than the beautiful polka dots behind Linda.
Those are cool.
You should see the front. There's a lot more.
Yeah, she doesn't like things boring. So that's cool. Now there's the two of us, and we have 4 other employees here. They've been with us ranging anywhere from 6 to 33 years.
Wow.
I think we did the math the other day. The 6 of us average about 21 years experience in the industry. So that's kind of cool. But we got a great team. We've got 2 in personal lines, and we've got a commercial line CSR that helps me and helps Linda. Then we got Michelle in our benefits department. We got group health, life, Medicare. So she and I kind of juggle back and forth with that. But that's pretty much what she runs. So that's us. We were much bigger before, but COVID made us
people that we didn't need to.
Yeah. COVID made us
more profitable.
Yes, at least more streamlined.
A little more streamlined.
The word producer gets thrown around so much in this industry, and when you have a producer that's not producing, you kind of have to look at that and go, why are we continuing to do this? So we took the plunge and got rid of producers last year, and we actually had a better year in 2021 than we did with producers the previous year.
Yeah.
It's so funny you say that, because like one of my proudest moments in working with account managers is when they can outsell producers. And I'm so,
you're doing more of it. The salespeople aren't going out and selling.
They have a whole job to do in addition to, and I know it's different, right? Like producers have to go find and prospect, but they also don't have to deal with my rate went up. Why are you people such jerks?
Right.
But Kelly, your program helped make a difference this last year because it put them more in a sales mode in addition to their service work. And they realized that by just asking a few questions a few times a year,
that they're already
somebody wants higher limits. They want more coverage, and they don't even realize they're selling anything because they're just having a conversation.
Right.
If you don't mind telling the audience, what program was that you refer to?
Well, the agency performance partners, what was the PAC? Something PAC.
The performance PAC.
Yeah, the online performance PAC.
Yeah.
But do you remember which course was that you got the most out of that recently?
That was we had account rounding, time management.
Account rounding and the renewal calls.
Yeah, the renewal calls. Yeah, most of it had to do with renewal calls.
Those were probably the huge takeaways.
For years, we just kind of let renewals happen. And then, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, we started mailing out questionnaires to our clients.
And those went over well.
And that helped us too. But you get a lot of people that didn't return those or want to answer those. But boy, you catch somebody on the phone and it's really amazing how often they want to talk about their stuff. Yeah. And it's, been big difference maker. And
we still have, right or wrong, we kind of have an older personal lines clientele, which we're trying to change. So the phone call thing still works really well for them because they're home.
Yeah.
As we get a younger crowd that's a little more, tech savvy and whatever, we'll probably change some of that as to how maybe they make those calls, if it's maybe more of a text thing or something different. But obviously that's still the same process. But people really love the whole, hey, thanks for calling. It's great, as opposed to, like I said, they were touching base before, but now I think it's a more regimented, and it's regimented, but it's natural. They're doing it. They're enjoying it. The customers are loving it. They're saying, hey, I'm so glad you called us. This is wonderful. We're finding out new things that, we probably should have known for years because we've had these people for years.
Or they forget on the questionnaire, right?
Yeah.
Like nothing's changed. No, everything's the same. I didn't get a swimming pool. No,
they don't want to mess with 4 pages of questions, but they like to have a conversation with somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And things that they can pick up on.
I think too, it's interesting, like even just doing all the mailing and the cost of the mailing has gone up and the time it takes to do all those and get them out. Then you kind of feel like, well, we've done this for so long. Could we ever stop? How would we do it? It's like, there's a time and expense to that too.
Right. Oh yeah.
But the phone calls are great because you can personalize them. You're talking to your client and you can have a unique conversation as opposed to everybody getting the same form in the mail, answering the same questions that some of them may not apply, and they're going to look at it and go, this doesn't matter to me, and then not fill it out. So, you're not really protecting anybody if they're not helping you update their information. But when you talk to them, you're guaranteed that you're going to get some information.
And then I got to find a stamp and I got to go mail it back or however it comes back in. And it gets a little crazy. And I always say the questionnaire, that model still leads to a phone call.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The follow-up.
And we use that as well. If we got them back, then obviously then they would call and discuss. Mm-hmm. So luckily our staff was kind of already comfortable with making some of those calls, not maybe initialing the calls, but it's like, okay, wow, I've got this information. But now they're like, okay, you know what? I've got this in front of me. Let's go ahead and start the process. And I think they're really enjoying it too.
Well, and you helped us with the fillable forms that they're using. So when they do have somebody on the phone, man, they're just filling stuff out as you go along. It's saving them time, and then just put that whole thing in the system.
We've got one that uses the fillable and one that still likes to write, which that's perfectly fine because I know I don't type that well, so I'd rather write it down.
Sure. So I want to go back because Brian shared something pretty cool yesterday, which was like, I think, you guys were having some meetings with your team and it kind of came out that they wanted training. Is that what I heard, Brian, yesterday? And you could probably tell the story way better of how you stumbled across the whole thing and how you kind of came across it.
I think the difference that you've brought to our agency as opposed to other things that we've tried before, you reach out to the service people. And there's nothing else out there. The industry is always about owners and salespeople, and nobody pays attention to the people that are making everything happen every day. And so there are things that you teach that we've tried to explain before. And, it's not just something else they're talking about. This isn't going to fly. But then we had you do it virtually there. And all of a sudden it's like, man, this makes a lot of sense. And I think it's just because you focus your attention on them. It's not their boss trying to tell them what to do because, I'm not a service person. I don't know what they do every day, but what needs to be done and how it's supposed to go. And they were so open to that and they embraced it and they're working it. So,
and we had looked at some of your stuff before, just kind of random videos and things. And so they are already kind of familiar with your style and whatever. And again, they were like, okay, we like her. She makes sense. So when we said, hey, we're going to do this new thing, that was a little less resistance than perhaps some of the other things that we've tried in the past.
Well, I always say that my mom used to get really mad because my cool uncle could tell me something and they'd be like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Like, of course I'm going to dump that jerk, when I was in school. Like, he sucks. And my mom would be
the same thing with my mom. It's like, you can't tell me anything, but somebody else mentions it. Fine.
My mom hates you. Let's go out more.
Right.
Oh yeah, mom says I'm doing double.
Oh yeah.
So I would say like I'm not that special. I'm just different.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm just a different voice.
But it works.
That's good.
And if that's all we need, then that is all we need, right? But I think, Brian, you were sharing, like, you were kind of talking to them and they're like, we want more training, or we feel like, I think we talked a little bit about how like account managers, they just don't really have a community. And, you know, I'd love to talk about that more.
Yeah, we did our year end and then planning for 2022 and just asking for input from everybody. You know, if there's something we can help them with to make their job easier and their life easier, let's look into it. And a couple of them had commented to us, you know, you and Linda get to go to all these conventions and you're part of all these Facebook groups and all these classes. And, you know, is there anything out there for us? And so I reached out on a couple of platforms, just asking if anybody knew of anything for service people. Yeah. And man, there's nothing out there. They are the forgotten people in this industry. And they're also the ones that if we don't have them, we're screwed.
Yeah.
You know, so
carriers have a couple of things, but not really the same.
You're not alone in that. We've heard that a lot over the years. I've heard that in my 18 years of there's never anything for the account managers or the CSRs or you know, whatever that is. So yeah, you're not the only one, you know, so I'm glad that you had found us. And
no,
where'd you hear about it?
I feel bad that there's really not a lot out there for them, but I was so happy that they brought that up, you know, because that means they're noticing some things that Linda and I come back with. Is there something that's for them too? So,
or even a place to go vent.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we mentioned maybe start one here locally. You know, they've been doing this so long. They know people at other agencies. You know, maybe they have an account manager group locally where they get together once a month or something, or have a Facebook page together where they can bounce ideas around or complain about us, or, you know, and that's okay. That's good.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
So we'll see how that goes. But I was real happy to hear them talking like that.
Well, I think that shows you kind of like they trust you too. Like culture is a big thing, and that they trust the fact that like they can talk to you about that, right? And
I think it's gotten better. I think our culture's gotten better.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have your days, and you're going to have management versus
There's a lot of strong personalities.
Yeah, but they're great personalities. No, they're strong people, and that's just how it is. But I do think that they're comfortable enough to talk to us about things that maybe aren't going well or whatever, and that's just improved over the years, I think. So that's good. Makes our lives easier.
So I know.
Okay.
Go ahead, Heath.
I was just going to say, do y'all have to play a good cop, bad cop kind of situation here?
No.
Sometimes.
But not really. Not really. No, we both try not to get involved in something. If somebody comes to Linda about something, then Linda will take care of it. If somebody comes to me, because there's only 6 of us. We don't need to have 2 people trying to figure out how to fix something. Pick one of us and talk to whoever you're comfortable talking to, and then let's get it fixed. But yeah,
it is funny every now and then as to who they go to, depending on what it is.
Right.
It's like, I know why you didn't come here.
Oh, there you go.
That's okay.
But we all do that.
My parents might be divorced, and I learned that too. It was really easy to figure out where to go based on the scenario at hand.
And we've all been together long enough. We all kind of know how everyone's going to react. So that's good and bad.
So you purchased the online school spot. And I think Brian, you and I had some back and forth as you guys were getting onboarded, but you know, how did you approach it? Because I think a lot of agencies struggle with the idea of like, how do I make sure my team gets it? Buying the school spot, I always say, is a step, but you have to have a game plan for adoption and things like that. So how did you kind of roll it out to your team and start the process?
We just kind of jumped in. I mean, he had a plan because he's good at that, which is why we had him.
No, but we wanted to make a big deal out of it. So, we set up the conference room and had the video screen and just all the stuff going on. I think we brought food in a couple of times.
Food always helps.
We didn't do it. We didn't do them individually. We split everybody up. And so 2 would sit with me and Linda one day, and then 2 with me and Linda the next day. And just listen to what you're talking about, but also observe what they're writing down, the notes they're kind of taking, and then having the conversation afterwards about, this made sense, but I don't know how this would work. And it was just very open and honest about it. And there were things that we did
the 2 and 2 instead of all 4 together, because sometimes they'll cancel each other out.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So for that plan, and you talked about that a minute, I'd be interested to know, as I'm learning more about this too, did you do this on a weekly thing? Was it a monthly thing or bi-weekly basis? What was the plan and the time frame on one course?
We did the whole, we watched all the videos in one day.
So it was like 3 hours or whatever.
Yeah, we took 3 or 4 hours, whatever, and just we ran the whole thing at once.
Yep.
And that way it was just, at least it's all out there. And then we'll go back and revisit.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you guys just went all in, just jumped straight to the deep end on that. That's awesome.
Well, because we started with the whole, I think it was like the email cleanup and all that kind of stuff. So we watched all of those
first.
Yeah, we did all that, and then we said okay, and then we gave it like a good couple of weeks to say okay, let's actually implement this. Let's take the time to do this and whatever. So we kind of checked with them for the whatever. So then after maybe 2 or 3 weeks of that, kind of made sure we were all at least trying the things, and then we went on to the renewal calls and everything. So same kind of thing. We just we kind of did it all at once, but then it was like, okay, now let's break it up into pieces. They could go back and review the stuff, and let's, if we have any questions going through, and that kind of seems to work well for those kind of things. Like I said, we looked at it first, but that seemed to work well for them.
Yeah. Now, as you're watching, did you hear much feedback or grumbling or people talking to the voice when we talk about email cleanup or talk about the kind of things that are going on in time management?
No, I thought it was really cool, the whole email cleanup thing. Some of them do a good job of that anyways. Some had a bazillion emails, and realizing they got rid of a lot of that garbage, man, it just made things easier. And to this day, every Friday afternoon, I get a picture texted to me of everybody's workspace and how many emails and activities they have.
That's awesome.
And I'm not doing that to keep tabs on everybody, but it's just,
are we still doing it?
It makes me happy though to see them say, I've got 0 emails left. Yep. And
they feel proud of themselves.
They should.
I did it. I'm doing it right. Yeah.
They should.
I need help. I'm at the end. I need help. I'm not in a good spot. Please help me, And
I have 1,000 emails personally, but I'm working on it.
I'm with you, Linda. If they had emails anonymous, I'd have to go to that every week and figure that out. I have a problem. And so
I'm still cleaning them up. I'm not on my thing. I didn't get quite as clean when we started.
It's actually really funny because I was on a time management call with a consulting client beforehand, and it's always the owners.
Do as I say, not as I do.
It's always the owners. I'm like, your emails, and there was could you take ours out for a minute? I'm like, that's not what you signed up for here. We're doing all full transparency. I
tell them that all the time. I'm like, hey, I said I'm still struggling with this. I said I'm working on it. I'm proud of you guys for doing it, and I'm there. So I don't hide the fact that I'm not perfect. I'm like, I've got 9,000 emails.
Well, and I love using time management as the entry point because it's something I think everybody wants to know more, and it does give them relief, right? So it's not like call everybody in your book and cross-sell them, that's massive, right? It's like you can get your emails under control. You can get your activities in the management system down, and then they get a little self-esteem and pride. So the next steps are a bit easier when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Well, then all the other courses seem like they go back to that foundational point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once you're organized, everything is so much easier in life. Yeah. So do that at work. If you don't have 1,000 emails sitting there or 40 activities that need to get done or a stack of sticky notes, we all have the dry erase things at our desks now.
We had those before.
But everybody's got them.
So how did they deal with the getting rid of notepads that's in time management? Because that tends to be the one that I get the death stares during.
There was one that, and she's been here the longest. And so has also been in insurance one of the longest times. That was a little difficult. And I think she still doesn't, she struggles with it a little bit. She also does all of our claims. So she still uses it a little bit. For the claims thing, just because sometimes she needs a little bit more information.
Sure.
But I think for her, that was maybe a little harder than others. But again, it's working into the schedule. It's not a dead and gone kind of thing. And we understand that, okay, there are certain things that may have to be tweaked.
Sure.
It can't be all the whatever, but
she's also the one using the fillable form. So, it's kind of like that.
It depends on the situation. Like I said, there's also, she's actually the same person that probably the time blocking thing for her, I think was the biggest and still is not issue,
But claims are hard you can't postpone a claim. If somebody calls with a claim.
Yeah. She's like, how can I schedule my day if I don't know what's going to happen? It's like, well, you still kind of can. Yes. Claims are going to kind of throw a wrench into there. But if you know that from 10 to 11, I'm going to do whatever. So hers is, I think that's probably a little more difficult for her. And I think we all kind of struggled with the time blocking issue.
It does. It comes up and it's like, well, what do you do when you go to lunch? Right. Like there's times, and not every time block is perfect, but you also can't not do it thinking I might get a claim, like deal with it when the claim comes in.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's a work in progress for all of us. I mean, there's days that the time blocking works perfectly. And there's other days where 10 minutes into it, it's out the window and you're out the door doing something,
Yeah.
So it's something we're all working on.
Yeah.
Still.
Were y'all already pretty good at putting everything in the agency management system and pretty good at running those reports and all that kind of stuff beforehand?
For the most part.
Okay.
The people that survived any purges we had were always pretty good about activity and follow up.
That was always kind of one of the big issues is, okay, I don't even know what you did today. I can't see it anywhere. What did you do? And you're not making me any money. Did you?
And I'm terrified of what you might have done. And I need to not be terrified.
Right.
Well, it's not so much to check up on them, but I mean, if somebody's out, we had somebody out with COVID a couple of weeks ago, and it was, trying to figure out, okay, what was she in the middle of? Well, there was enough stuff in the system that people that were calling me to follow up on something, I was able to see what it was that she was working on. So, I think they do a good job with their activity. And that was never really a big problem.
Yeah, that's been a rule for us for a long time. When we first got our management system and it was, much more automated, it was like, if it's not in there, it didn't happen. Our concept is basically, if somebody's gone, then anybody in this office, whether they're licensed or not licensed or smart or stupid or whatever, they can look and see what's happening and say, oh, I see, they called you and they're going to do this.
It's the whole lottery at lunch thing. If you won the lottery at lunch. Yeah. Exactly. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I always say that it's rude to the customer because we can't deliver an experience. It's rude to your team to have them go scramble around.
Right.
And the people who struggle with the activities, it's like, well, my clients, like they have these boundaries up, which are really unhealthy of, well, I don't want them touching it because it's my client. It's like, no. It is his agency's client.
We had some people that had that boundary thing and they're gone. So it's a little more open now to just help the client, whoever it is.
Yeah.
So you're wrapping. Sorry, go ahead, Linda.
I was saying it was really nice when you kind of hit on that because we've been saying that for years. Put it in the stinking system because if if you're not here, you don't want to have to start all over. I'm going to send you an app again.
And then like when you're backing up somebody else and you're like, oh, I hate this person. Their files are so messy. It's like, well, when you're gone, what do you think they're doing about your files?
Exactly. And that's when everything's going to blow up is when you're gone.
All the zombies come out, we like to say. Like the Walking Dead pop out because you're gone and they come to haunt everybody else.
Always.
But you got to admit, Linda, we're pretty blessed with the fact that like if you and I go on vacation for 7 or 10 days, they run things smoothly around.
I don't think twice.
We're not getting phone calls. We're not getting emails. It's just they make things happen. Yeah. And boy, going to conventions and then listening to other agency owners and
they can't.
I can't be gone for 2 days because the whole place will go away.
Yeah.
Wow, we're lucky.
Well, I think it's cool because you guys seem like you work on the business, not just in it. So a lot of those people who can't leave, they're the top producer or they're the account manager and they haven't figured out how to like extract themselves into working on the business, at least a percentage of the time. As you grow, you can't always do it on day one, but as you grow, you got to keep leveling yourself into working on the business as much as possible too.
Well, and not to make light of what we all do, but I mean, it is our job and there's more to life than just coming to work and being an insurance agent. And to get so bent out of shape about stuff that in the big picture isn't really a big deal, just kind of chill out a little bit, everybody. Everything will be okay.
Well, and I want to hang out with you guys on Friday nights. I always see your Friday night, like date night posts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man, I gotta go hang out with them. The cocktails always look good. The food always looks good. I'm like, I don't think I've had that food experience in Indiana. I've never really thought of Indiana as the food population, but your post always like, I'm hungry.
It's the fun of insuring restaurants too, because you get to go in there and experience a lot of good stuff. So.
Yeah. Plus, we have friends that really know a lot of those great places, so they're willing to take us along.
Well, next time I'm in Indiana, I might need to be your friend for the day.
Yes, you should. Please do.
You should.
So you did time management, and all of a sudden you're like, hey guys, great news. And next up, we're going to call every customer. And I'd love to hear a little bit about how they took that, what your results have been. Because a lot of times when agencies definitely who use our consulting, not just the school like you guys did, they definitely be like, you're going to tell them they're doing this, right? I will tell them, but you're in the room with me. Just
so you know.
Yeah, I want to know how long it was between the two courses. Did you do them pretty quickly after?
4 to 6 weeks, maybe, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty. We tried to keep it moving, but for the personal lines girls, that was women, whatever, ladies.
Staff, yeah.
That wasn't quite as bad because they had already kind of been doing it because we had the renewal questionnaires going on.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of the fear, trepidation, kind of whatever, but it was like, well, we're kind of already doing it.
Right.
We're just not waiting for something to return to us. So that kind of helped them do it. The commercial lines girl, Sue, I think she struggled with it a little bit. She's getting better at it because she's never really had to do those outbound phone calls. And she's been doing this for 40 some odd years.
Wow.
So it's not like she doesn't know her stuff. But I think it was just that concept of the outbound calls that I think that shook her up a little bit.
I think that's a typical service person reaction.
Oh, sure.
Is they're great with the incoming calls, but an outgoing call is difficult, even when it's something, like Linda said, she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And she's
you don't
very
want to bother the
personable,
person.
but it's just a different way of doing things. And so, but she's gotten much better with that too, much more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So
our group person, I think she still probably struggles with that a little bit. And benefits world is a little strange anyway.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of the bastard child of everywhere, unfortunately.
Right.
So we try not to make that happen. So I think she's doing okay. But like I said, there's some things that we have to kind of figure out with how that works in the benefits world.
Yeah.
But you implemented all of this for benefits, life and health, and your PNC, not just one department or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
As much as we can.
Well, we
that may have been
for ourselves too. I mean, we wanted to be part of the whole email organization and time blocking and that type of stuff. And that's why we did the meetings with them instead of just having them watch something, because we want to participate in this as well and just let them know we're all in this together. And we're asking you to do certain things that we're going to ask ourselves to do as well. And like Linda said earlier, she struggles with the email thing. She shares that with them. Mm-hmm. And so if we can all talk to each other about what's really going on, it's easier that way. It's better that way.
Well, that's a sign of a good leader when you be transparent, let them know you're going through this just as much as they are.
I don't know how good of leaders we are, but we try and be transparent anyways.
We're transparent anyway.
It sounds like y'all are phenomenal leaders to be able to have that kind of transparency, to say, hey, I'm struggling with this too. I'm right in the boat with you, rowing right beside you.
Yeah.
That's huge. I think that says a lot about you as agency owners.
Okay. But I think personally, we all care about each other. We all like each other. And I think it's just a way to push each other in the right direction without making it seem like it's forced, Yeah.
When you say y'all been together from 6 to 33 years, you got a pretty good culture going on there.
COVID was tough when everybody worked from home because
there's a handful that can't exist.
Three of them are so used to being together every day, and it's just funny. I mean, you can count on at 11:45 when it's lunchtime. At least 3 of them are going to be in the same car going somewhere.
Yeah,
and it was tough during COVID. They couldn't do that, so when we were able to come back to work, man, it was everything's great. So.
Well, it was nice to see other people, right? It's like, hey. Well, and I think what you're saying too, like there is a lot of trepidation on making those first calls. And I have a lot of room in my heart for that. Like we'll get comments all the time of like, it's a cold call. I'm like, it's your customer. So no. And then it's like, I'm bothering them. They don't want to deal with their insurance. It's a lot of like the mindset that is really unhealthy in the industry of customers don't want to be on the phone with us. It's the transactional mindset that creeps in on people. And then what I love that you said earlier on this podcast was, hey, they're getting this thing called thank you. Thank you so much. And so for me, when I see account managers, one of the things that like really drains them, burns them out, like that's when you start seeing the Eeyore account manager is they don't hear thank you. Mm-hmm. Why did my rate go up? Because all the inbound stuff is a complaint, a question, a demand. When you can flip it and get them out to being proactive and then they get to do the good stuff again. That's like missing if we don't put it in intentionally.
Exactly.
Right? So I think that is a big opportunity to hear gratitude and have some fun. So your team did the renewal calls. Like, do you have an idea what were your results from the renewal calls? Like cross sales increases, retention? Do you have? I know Brian, you shared a few stats with me yesterday. If you don't mind sharing.
Our retention's pretty good anyway. Which is
92%. I think is what we finished the year at personal lines with retention.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the state average was like 83 according to the company reps I talked to. So, but rounding accounts. I mean, they're increasing limits on things.
Increasing limits that's been a big deal.
And I think it's easier for them, honestly, to offer different coverages or talk about different coverages with the conversation as opposed to having it written down on something. Are you interested in an umbrella policy? Nope, don't know what that is. Don't care. If somebody can sit there and explain to them, getting sued for this. Yeah, I'm kind of concerned. Well, let me talk to you about this. And it's just a whole different way of approaching it. And we've seen a lot of umbrellas, a lot of limits increased. It's
service line coverage, backup of sewers, stuff that they should have had. We've talked about it before, but again, it's just having more of the conversation instead of maybe responding when they have to think of something.
Well, it's also, I think they have the plan, right? So they do their checklist before that. So I know what to talk to Linda about, right? I know what to talk to Brian about because I've reviewed it. Then the call sheet kind of has like almost like guiding questions that not just, I say it's like chutes and ladders, it's discounts, but it's also, let's go here and see what we can do with the coverage increase. And when they don't approach it, they approach it like a review, then people listen a little harder, right? Like, I think you should have this. And the increases are always easy because there's no quote, there's no application. It's usually just a verbal yes. Maybe some agencies do like a quick form, but I can just get you, oh yeah, do that for $13 a year. Please add that on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like no brainer. And then when somebody calls them with a claim, you're not like,
did I ever mention that? And did they have the right stuff? Yeah.
Look, they had a review. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. So did they at all struggle keeping up with the renewal calls?
I don't think so.
I mean, I think initially because it was just kind of, they had to schedule it in more than they were doing, but that they got through that. I mean, at least the personal lines people, they got through that really quickly. It was like, okay, let's figure this out. How many can we do? I mean, so I think it went pretty smoothly. Like I said, the commercial and benefits may be a little different, but personal lines, they kind of just went right at it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That
is. Did y'all participate in the agency in any kind of role play or anything like that? Did y'all do any of that kind of activities?
No.
We were going to, and we kind of talked with everybody and they're like, you know what, we're good. Okay. Most of them have been doing it. Terry's been doing this for 30 some odd years.
Right.
We did ask Jennifer, she's, 6 or 7 years in the personal lines world. And she's like, she's a very natural kind of person anyway. And she's like, no, I think once I can get past my, oh my God, I'm going to have to pick up the phone to do it. Then she was fine. Yeah. And having that thing, having the script or whatever you want to call it, because we don't really like those words, script, but having that in front of her, right. Yeah. Having that kind of helped her be that natural person and just have that conversation because she's very good at that anyway.
But she did eventually gravitate towards okay with the script or the talking points.
Yes. And she knew that she would, but she once you kind of get over the fact that, oh my God, I have to say these things, it's like, just start the conversation and then it comes, which she knows, because she does it all the time anyway. It's just that initial hump.
By the end of their 10th renewal call, they're like, I got this. It's just you got to get them through the first ones. And
it was probably less than 10.
Well, and I think a lot of times people assume, they're going to talk about rate. And it's like shocking to them how people don't bring up rate.
Unless you do first.
Right. And sometimes you have to based on what's going on, and that's fine. But when they bring it up, it's not like you're bringing it up as you're the solutions provider to it, not the opposite way around.
Exactly.
And I'm curious because we hear this a lot. And I see it when we do the programs live with clients, but we see this change in their confidence level. Like they're just more confident about asking for that cross sale, where before they're sort of shy about rate, shy about asking. And now it's like, no, I'm good with it. Like I'm more comfortable, confident, whatever the word you want to use is. Yeah. And I just get so happy about that because I think for me, like you said, there's not a lot for account managers out there. It's like, I want them to feel confident in being able to sell, being able to cross sell, being able to defend rate.
Because they're doing it every day.
And that just gives them such a more fulfilling career too. So that if they ever are in a situation where they need to make more money, they know I can cross sell. Like I can sell if I need to, and help their family in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's just that rather than go get a second job, you could just stay right here and make more money.
Right. Exactly.
Let's do that. So I know, Brian, you shared with me that you guys have our friends Eeyore and Tigger in the office.
Yep. They're kind of plastered.
I have one on my wall right here.
Yeah. Linda's got them right there in her office too. So yeah, no, it's, that was just such a cool thing when we first heard you talk about that, or however many years ago that was.
Oh, a long time ago.
But yeah, so Linda's bought little Tigger and Eeyore things, and they show up various places in the office. And
I have my little Tigger keychain.
The Tigger keychain.
Everybody has a Tigger keychain.
Yep. And the back door there's a big Tigger on the back door, and there's a big Eeyore with a black line run through it. And
so right as you walk in.
Yeah, so that's just
I need a picture of that.
Yeah.
Sure. No, but just kind of a reminder to everybody when you get here in the day. I mean, yeah, you might have had a lousy morning, but we're here now. Let's take care of our clients. Let's enjoy being with each other and have a good day with it. We were talking a little bit yesterday that we have a whiteboard in the back of the building.
Yeah.
When everybody comes in the morning, and everybody's assigned a week, and they need to write something positive on that board every morning. So
positive posting place.
Even if you're personal posting place. So even if you're in a bad mood and you come in the morning and you have to look up something and write it down, you can't help but get in a better mood, Yeah. So we've been doing that, 2-3 years now, I think?
2-3 years now, yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know Eeyore and Tigger, we have this philosophy, like you can be an Eeyore or a Tigger, and we have a couple videos on it. We can put them in the show notes here, but what does Eeyore sound like in an insurance agency? Like, oh no, the rates are going up again. Oh, the underwriter won't do this.
Yeah, right that.
Yeah. And then the Tiggers are like, hey, rates are going up. That's an opportunity. And, I've got 5 policies to buy in today. And, it's the idea that attitude's a mindset. And so we recommend to agencies that they get Eeyores and Tiggers, and hey, someone's killing it today. Tigger goes on their desk. Like, you're having a great day.
It's just a fun little reminder of you just see it and go, okay, screw it back on straight and let's have a good day.
And then
one of the things that I love the most, what I've been hearing from you the last however long we've been recording now, is you guys, you didn't just purchase this course or whatever, just kind of put it on the shelf. You went all in with it. You decided to do the Eeyore and the Tigger. You did the whiteboard with the positive things. You incentivized her. You did whatever you did. Is that something, as you talk to other agencies listening to this, is that something that you would say would contribute to the success you've had since adopting the programs?
For
Absolutely.
Sure. We unfortunately, I have a problem with, the shiny object syndrome. So, we go to all these fun places and see all these great things, and I'm like, oh, these are great. And so then there's all these things we need to do. And it's like, okay, are we going to really implement any of these? Or you try to, but then you get the eye rolls from the staff. And then it's like, well, okay, maybe we'll put this one back. So sometimes we get a little defeated because there's so many things out there that we hear about. This was one of these things that kind of fit into stuff we were already doing. We're like, you know what? This just makes a lot of sense. We can do this. It's not a huge, major, my God, it's a 3-year process. It's whatever. So we're like, okay, yes, let's actually implement this and do this. We can all do this. It's very easy. It makes sense. It's very logical, And again, because they'd already seen some of the stuff that Kelly did, it was like, oh, we like her. We know her. She speaks to us as CSR people. Let's go ahead. So I think it all kind of just fit together really well to implement it, as opposed to just, we're going to try it again next year. We're going to try parts of this, which is what we do a lot, unfortunately.
This is one of the few that we jumped in and actually ran with.
Yeah. So those 2 or 3 that are listening that have had those reservations, or have seen the 3-minute videos, seen Kelly, and they think, I can't do this because a do-it-yourself thing. I need this or I need that. What would you tell those people, or how easy would you tell them it was for you guys? And
it's
what kind of change?
I think it's easier than you think.
Well, because you do a great job of, you put the workbooks and everything together so you can review it before you start. You can explain how the whole thing is. Let's celebrate. Let's have a little party up front.
Step by step.
Celebrate the victories. It's a step-by-step process. That's not an overwhelming step-by-step process. Yeah. It's manageable. Even for idiots like us, we were able to figure it out and make it work. You can
still see the big picture and make it all work with those steps.
There's a lot of cool stuff out there, like Linda was saying. We get the drawer full of notes from all these things we've always done, and a lot of people do a great job of explaining what the end result is going to be. But you're starting at point D. Yours starts at point A, and that's one of the differences of your program from a lot of other ones. Is you talk about how to get it implemented instead of just, this is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
We know what we should be doing. How do we get there?
We all know that.
It's like, I know what I hear every day.
Right. I just
what you're saying that you liked about it was you wasn't a do-it-yourself in the sense of you're in the boat by yourself. You felt like you had APP there in the boat with you, helping you.
And if we needed something, if we needed something, you could pick up the phone or shoot an email or, go to the website and chat or whatever.
Yeah.
We were never left hanging with anything. So it wasn't, here's the program. Good luck.
Right.
No, there was people there behind us if we needed it. So,
yeah.
Well, that is good to hear. And I think that for, and what you said about the conferences really resonates with me because I kind of have a running joke. I'm like, don't come back to your agency like a cowboy or cowgirl and be like, we're going to do this and we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And we're going to do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Because your staff's like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I have 10 problems on my desk right now. Can I go back to putting out the fires?
Yeah. Like, thanks for the meeting. We don't care.
Yeah. Like, did you know that this agency is doing this? And I always say that in the conferences, they're so valuable. But the people on stage are telling about the one thing that they're experts at, and you're hearing 25 things.
Right.
You got to do all 25. When in reality, we work with a lot of those agencies up there. I'm like, they're good at this one thing. And then here's the 10 things we're working on behind the scenes.
They can't do any of this.
Yep.
Exactly.
So it's like, it is also about pacing yourself and understanding. And I love how you said you listened to your staff too, of like what they wanted and what they felt was the biggest thing. Cause I think that keeps a real open communication line too.
Yeah, we can hear ideas and that's great. But at the end of the day, they're the ones doing it. And what are they really struggling with instead of what do we think they're struggling with?
Yeah. And even in this whole program, it's like, okay, does all this make sense? Or like a couple of people are like, I'm already doing this. So I'm going to kind of skip ahead to this. Mm-hmm. Terry's had clean emails for, 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
Everything's an activity. I'm like, she's that person, which is awesome. But she's like, okay, so I'm going to skip ahead because I don't need to spend 2 weeks cleaning out my email because I got none.
But this notepad and me are going to have some chats.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
We try to say that in time management. I'm like, so you're going to go through some of these and be like, oh, I got that. And then you're going to get the one that's personal.
Right. Yep, exactly.
The one that makes you cry.
Yeah. There's no crying in insurance.
Woo. No, there's the ugly cry. There's the ugly cry when it gets bad.
Yeah. Those are the ones we have when we get home sometimes.
That's why you see all the fun cocktails.
Yes.
Preach. I will say this just as kind of a final wrap up question for me. And then Heath, if you have anything, as you were kind of going through everything, what was the best thing that you kind of pulled away from it? And what was maybe the hardest thing that you guys went through as you were implementing?
Best as far as what the staff got out of it or what we got out of it?
Like you look back and you say, man, this was like the number one reason maybe to do it.
The renewal calls.
Yeah,
the fact that we've seen business grow because of a personal phone call as opposed to a form or an email. We've seen the results and they've seen the results firsthand. And it makes it a lot easier to have those conversations when you know they're working.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. That's the biggest positive thing.
And I would think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just having that peace of mind, like knowing that all your customers and knowing you're not like stumbling on an issue potentially, like just that confidence, like, does that help you guys late at night?
I get a laugh out of some of it because, I'm on a couple of boards and things and Linda's on. So we're around a lot of other agents. And when you mention to them that, our staff contacts every customer every year and they're going, what? How? There's no way.
Why would you do that? Why would you?
Yeah. Why would you do that? It's like,
how do you and why would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's
don't poke the sleeping bear.
Yeah. Don't let them know anything. So it's, that's kind of been the fun part is just the reaction that we get when people realize that, yes, it can be done and it makes a difference. Yeah.
And by the way, your staff likes them?
Yeah. Exactly.
Are we just going to end rewriting everybody? And when I hear that, I just, in my heart, I'm like, oh, I can help you so much. Like that's kind of like that broken culture, like the broken trust of like your team. Like, do you trust your team? Do you invest in your team so that they have those skills? Or are you terrified if they start calling your customers and it's going to blow up? Like, I always look at that. Like, that makes my heart hurt for that agency owner of like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
And if you don't empower your team or trust them, they don't have those skills and tools to come back and really serve your customers. So I'm always like, there's a broken piece here that I hope that those agency owners just stop and take a deep breath and say, I want to try to repair this part, Heath, what's your final question?
I'm just interested to know, because you guys are so awesome. What's next for you guys? Do you guys have anything that you're doing, the next big thing that you're going to tackle, or have you thought that far out yet?
No, we've done a KPI program for about 9 years now, and we're tweaking that big time this year. And so I'm just wrapping up all that. And so that'll be Monday's adventure with everybody. But no, we've kind of asked them for their input this year on KPIs to help the agency grow. So we get a lot of good feedback there, but that'll be a different thing to implement next week. And I think we'll see a lot of benefit and growth out of that too.
Yeah. We've got to jump more into the whole digital marketing world. Like I said, we've got an older clientele that, they're dying off or going to nursing homes or whatever.
Yeah. We lost 5 clients this month, 4 were deaf. So
hey, some people still knew my grandfather.
That's a lot of sympathy cards to write.
Yeah.
One tip on the renewal call program is you can use it to say, like, would you like your son or daughter on the account? And that might be an in way to kind of get that next generation. Exactly. Or another tip that's not in the course I'll just give you is we have some agencies that put in there like, hey, can we put in an emergency contact on your account of if your house is on fire, your neighbor's okay to, call us or be a part of it if you're out of town. And then it's like, there's a little lead.
Yep.
Little lead.
So things like that. So that's kind of one of our things. We have like the KPIs, kind of tweaking those a little bit and getting a little bit more into the digital marketing world to kind of get our name out there a little bit more. All that fun video stuff that I love to do.
I got to get out of the office.
Good at it too. Like, I don't know. I would think that Linda, you're so good at it. Like,
we just got to come up with the topics.
She's awesome.
You know what? Just like the renewal calls, by your 10th video, it just becomes like, I don't need to watch it anymore. I tell Heath all the time, like, I never watch any of my videos, so I don't know. I could be.
See, I'm super vain. I watch every one of mine 2 or 3 times.
No, I've learned not to do that. It's more of, I just got to figure, okay, what are we going to do it on? And then I'm like, let's just go and do it.
Yeah,
so I just got to come up with a schedule to what to do.
I was like, man, I look tired. What time did I get in that night? When
I know.
When your hair is that cool, you got to be on video more often. Share that with the world.
It's much brighter on the video than it is. It's actually faded right now. But
that's even better.
Did you tell Heath that you're a CIC?
Yes, I am a CIC, which is a cool insurance chick.
Yes.
As well as regular CIC.
That's awesome.
That is super awesome. So, we appreciate you guys so much. And thank you for sharing your experience. I know it's taking time out of your day and running.
Thank you.
Thanks for talking to us, and thanks for all the help. Really.
Yeah, it's an awesome program.
We are here if you need us, of course. And, I just want to say, like I was sharing earlier, like for me, the school was a big leap because I'm so used to being so hands-on. And I was like, what if I don't know? Like, what if I don't know people are struggling? And then I hear kind of through the grapevine, like really great results from you guys. And so you give back to me too, to know that we're on the right path.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. We really appreciate it.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I have to interject one thing here, because Kelly asked earlier, one of the biggest things that we took away from this. And I forgot to mention, it's when you were doing the role play call and he asked if you had a trampoline or something. And you said, no, because that attracts children. That's one of the funniest lines I've ever heard.
Like, I wouldn't have that. That would attract children, and that's not.
You had us at trampoline, Kelly. That was just great.
Well,
because we would say that.
Yeah, that's what we would say. I think we have said.
I am not a child person, which I don't have them. So he's got 3, and I'm always just like, anytime I hear about kids and stuff, I get like a little itchy and like they're fine in small doses, but to me they're always sticky. There's just a lot. I'm like, why are you so sticky and needy and irrational? Like they're little. That was the best comedy break of the whole thing.
Yeah.
That was just.
So when you said that, we're like, oh my God, we would totally say that.
Yep. So thanks for that.
I probably didn't even know I said something.
You probably did, but
you got to go find it.
That's the thing. It was probably so honest and transparent. It just flowed right out.
Yeah.
You need to go find that and watch that little snippet. It's hysterical.
It's great.
And then just matter of fact. People, like, what kind of heathen says that? It's like,
So purchase the course just to watch that part.
Seriously.
Yes, there is comic relief.
It is worth it.
Like my close group of friends knows when I get on an airplane and there's a child crying, like I am just like, I need to not murder people right now. So,
Yeah.
like,
When's the next
They fit
flight
the
out?
overhead bin if you pulled them right.
well, and I'm always like my ultimate thing. Like if I won the lottery, I would do Insurance Shark Tank, and the second thing I would do is start a childless airplane or
Airline.
airline. Just like, and I think I would
You're
kill
so
it.
rich.
I'd be so rich. I just would be like, there's no
I
children.
would fly it all day long.
Yep.
It would be he's like, where would it go? You go on Southwest. Like you guys go on Southwest.
Good for you, Heath, but
We're going to have our childless. There'll be martinis. There'll be nice things.
you come
That's
up with
fine.
that.
I'll
We
be
will
back
fly all
there.
the time.
I'll be back there with the Southwest and the Carnival Cruise people with all the
Right.
kids going to
Yeah.
Disney.
All you're saying.
You're the one that needs the
Yeah.
martinis.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Right. I've
There
got
may
my
also
flask
be an
on the
age
side over
bracket,
here.
Like you can't
That's
get
a
on
good
after
point.
75 because sometimes the real elderly folk also kind of drive me nuts on airplanes. So, you know, they always smack you with their bag. Like they don't have good bag guidance. And so it's like,
Nice.
Cheetos, man. All right.
There
All
you
right.
go.
When you got kids, you gotta do it
Smart
at the
man.
office,
You need a bigger bottle, Heath.
Yes.
right? That's the
it
airplane
is
model.
during work
That's the
hours.
airplane bottle.
Well, thank you guys so much. We'll let you get back about your day. I know we took up enough of your time, but thank you all.
you.
Oh, thank you guys.
And if anybody has any questions on our school or anything else, feel free to reach out. But we appreciate you very much.
We
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you so much, guys.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Signing
Have a
off.
good
Have a
one.
great day.
Hey, everybody, wasn't that great just to hear how motivational they are to their team, how they really embraced everything, how they're walking through everything together? I was just so pumped up and motivated by it. Like we talk about a lot of times, I don't always get to hear all the success stories from the school. People just kind of go about it. So it's nice when I do get to hear them. If anybody has any questions, you can go to our website, agencyperformancepartners.com, go under shop and look at our agency performance pack. We've got all the courses listed there, details, and how to purchase. But until then, we hope that your agency is on its path to being ridiculously amazing and that you give a little shout out to Linda and Brian, thank them for donating their time and hearing all about their success. Guys, have a great day.